Highly admired for her contribution to contemporary music, Sade is a British singer, songwriter and actress known for her soul and pop music, playing an important part of the 1980s music scene. Known professionally as both Sade Adu and simply Sade, she released her debut album, Diamond Life, earning her the status of the best-selling album of the era. Born Helen Fola Sade Adu on the 16th of January 1959 in Ibadan, Nigeria, she was actually raised in Essex, England. At 4 years old, her parents separated and Sade moved to London, where she was brought up by her mother. Through her childhood and teenage years, she gravitated towards many creative interests, which included music, but she also had a passion for fashion design and modeling. When she turned 18, she decided to pursue a career in fashion design and accepted a place at St. Martin's School of Art. Alongside modeling for a brief time, she finished her degree and began gaining experience in the music industry, singing in a few local bands. Despite her overwhelming stage fright, she started singing backing vocals for a Latin funk band named Pride, where she was introduced to guitarist and saxophonist Stuart Matthewman, who formed a songwriting relationship with Sade. During this time, she performed Smooth Operator solo at one of their gigs and gained attention from multiple record labels. However, they were only interested in Sade herself and not the rest of the Pride band. Her loyalty to the band delayed her signing until she relented 18 months later, under the condition she could bring her saxophonist, bassist and keyboard player to form the band Sade. Sade signed to Epic Records in 1983, soon followed by the band in 1984. Sade is best known for the velvety tone and timbre of her voice, something that stood out to record labels. Using the warmth and smoothness of her vocals, she can set the mood and atmosphere of her music. As a contralto singer, her voice is textured and full, altering the dynamics of her voice effortlessly throughout the songs, whilst also having full control over her breathing and delivery. Compared to other female vocalists in the industry at this time, she became distinctive for her understated sound, admired for her coolness and elegance. Blending together soul, minimalist pop and jazz, she was able to create something completely unique. Sade released the first single, Your Love is King, in February 1984, and the sophisticated sound immediately became a hit, with the track reaching the top 10 in the British charts. After 6 weeks spent in the studio, they curated their first album, Diamond Life, which was released in July 1984. The album went straight to number 2 in the UK album chart, where it sold over 1.2 million copies, while also winning a Brit Award for Best British Album. Not only was it warmly received in the UK, but it made a breakthrough internationally too, especially in the US, where it reached the top 10 and sold over 4 million copies. The album ranked Sade as the best-selling debut in history by a British female vocalist. The third single from the album, Smooth Operator, which had initially won over the record companies, also had a positive impact on her American audience, peaking at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and Billboard Hot Black Singles. It reached even greater heights on the US Billboard Adult Contemporary chart, where it went straight to number 1. A year later, they embarked on their second album titled Promise, which followed the major success of its predecessor, climbing its way to number 1 in both the UK and the US. It sold 4 million copies in the US, even being certified 4 times platinum by the RIAA. The Sweetest Taboo paved the way for the album and reached number 5 in the US Billboard Hot 100, while peaking at number 1 on the US Adult Contemporary chart once again. The triumph of 2 successful albums earned Sade her first Grammy Award for Best New Artist. In the same year, Sade began acting, making her debut in a film called Absolute Beginners, where she both played a role and contributed her vocals to the soundtrack. In 1988, Sade released their third album, Stronger Than Pride, and continued to make waves as a soul and pop artist, once again reaching platinum status in the US. The second single, Paradise, received the most success from the album, reaching number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100, while skyrocketing to number 1 on the US Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs. On the back of a triumphant 8 years, Sade continued her admirable efforts by releasing a fourth album, Love Deluxe, in 1992. It wasn't long before it made its way to the number 3 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, selling millions of copies yet again and earning platinum status. This time, however, the album went from strength to strength in countries outside of the US, reaching the top 10 in New Zealand, Switzerland, Sweden, and the UK, while even stealing the number 1 spot in France. In the UK, her work was greatly recognized, becoming certified gold. And a decade after the band released their albums, they compiled a compilation album, The Best of Sade, reaching major commercial and critical success once more in the UK and the US. After an overwhelmingly successful decade, Sade took an 8-year hiatus. She took some time away to focus on her marriage and raising a family, eventually moving out of London to Gloucestershire. The beginning of the new millennium, however, welcomed their return as they released their 5th studio album, Lovers Rock, in 2000. Like her previous releases, Sade's new music was positively received, hitting the top of the charts while gaining another platinum status. She also took home a Grammy Award, this time for Best Pop Vocal Album. On the back of this, Sade and the band embarked on an extensive tour with ticket demands so high that they added an extra 8 weeks to the tour. This would be their first tour since 1994 and included over 40 shows in North America. After a live album release, Sade decided once again to step away from the spotlight, expressing that taking the time away to really experience her life would fuel inspiration for her music. After a hiatus of 10 years, during which she received an OBE for her services to music, she released her 6th studio album, Soldier of Love, in 2010, and once again stormed the charts with singles Baby Father and The Moon in the Sky. The title track earned Sade a Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals. This followed a long-awaited international tour of Europe, Australia, Asia, and the Americas after 10 years. Sade's impact on the music industry has been impressive, balancing her time between her personal life and her career as an artist. She has influenced major other musicians in the industry and has been admired for her distinctive vocals and her fusion of smooth jazz, minimalist pop and soul, evoking an authentic and sophisticated sound. You can check out the Carly of Spotify to listen to the original tracks of the artist. It's a curated playlist with the most popular songs.